first on the force side, this is one I used this year with one of our athletes, had a sort of an ankle fracture as he was coming back. Anything into excessive dorsiflexion really lit up the ankle, had a major ligament tear. So we had to train him in season, couldn't really load him up very well. So we started to play with this sissy squat, and I'm gonna try to demo some of these things, but I'm loaded up here pretty heavy. So part of the weight is, I'm gonna do it actually without that slant board, but we use sissy squats like this, okay? So huge quad load, but when I had that slant board in place, shin never went positive. We were able to load the quads. Again, just kind of a creative use for that device specifically. Get them on the slant board, and then we never went into any dorsiflexion. So could load the quads up, really cool exercise there. So I had that at 50 kilos with a 60 overload. You need enough weight because you've also got your own body weight involved there, but again, just sort of a unique use for that particular one. Then we get into trunk rotations. Okay, I'm gonna kind of work through like lower, upper trunk just to give you some ideas. I think you might have seen it in Todd's talk at one of the stations, so some redundancy here. But now we're going isokinetics on rotations. So I call this like a frontal plane rotation, okay? So again, hockey's got a lot of rotation involved. We like that for strength. I'm not gonna do it because my head will pop off, but we'll go isokinetic out, heavy eccentric load back, okay? We can usually get about 3 reps on that one. So huge, huge efforts, obviously tying the full kinetic chain together, loading up off that back hip, big rotations, okay? So again, something more force dominant. In terms of upper body, I'm gonna swap out this guy, put on my stick. So I'm gonna open the speed up. So we got a player in our team who's 6'2", 6'3", 220, an absolute, like he looks like a football linebacker. Like this guy's a house. Strongest hockey player I've ever seen, most powerful athlete I've ever seen in our sport. Guy's a freak. Actually got him into this exercise, brought the stick. So pulling's not so bad. So we have a little bit of length off here to just increase that moment arm, but I had him do some static pulling, okay? That's only 10 kilos, but having to stabilize around the core makes it a lot more challenging, especially in that split position. Pulling's one thing. This guy can bench a house, okay? This is 10 kilos. Okay, now we're getting into this position. Control back, press out, keeping the hips square and locked, but creating that force through the upper limbs, transferring it through the trunk, make sure the feet are stable. That was enough load for a big, big dude, right? Again, just another creative use with something like this stick was a real valuable exercise for us. So moving into power, I'm not gonna demonstrate a broad jump, but what I'm gonna show you is, again, if you're not super familiar with how we load this, one of the things we do is, with hockey players in season, I'm sure like most sports, we're really conscious of muscle soreness, right? So we're playing like the basketball schedule, we're 82 games in 7 months, we're playing roughly every other day. So training's gotta be very purposeful, intentful. We can't be beating them up in the weight room and then having them play the next day. We're roughly 48 hours every game, right? So what we do is now we're taking eccentric load out of a lot of the exercises. So when it comes to power, let's just let them move concentrically, express themselves, create big power outputs, but not worry about absorbing forces in this instance. So let's go with one of my other toys I brought. I really like this thing. I think the company's out of business now, but I don't know if you guys remember Pure Motion. They made kind of cool stuff, right? So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go, I got 10 kilos. I'm gonna take my concentric speed all the way up. but I'm going to take my eccentric velocity way down. That might be a touch too much. Okay. And this is not the way I swing, so don't judge my technique. We just literally call this like the home run derby. And this is one of the ones where we give biofeedback and let them get competitive with it, because the form kind of doesn't matter to me. But you get the idea here, where we can, right? Let the machine come back and load. So they're not having to absorb any force. They can get super aggressive with a rotation, reset. It slows the tempo down and allow them to move explosively in one direction. So just another way to manipulate the device settings to kind of get that stimulus that we're specifically looking for. Now, another version of that, just in a rowing activity, we'll go into split stance rows. We call it a rip row, kind of like you're starting a lawnmower or an outboard engine, right? Same idea. Big pull. I probably wouldn't have it that slow on the recoil, but set up. Again, just driving that concentric power piece, not loading them up eccentrically, avoid any soreness. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Then we go into the elasticity piece. So again, this is where you can get super creative with the planes of action, the fascial planes, any sort of contact time. You know, there's some really cool things where you can belt load and get some stiff hops or different things like that. But some different ideas that we've played with. I call these sagittal rotations. So so instead of going into that sort of frontal plane rotation, in hockey we do a lot here, almost like a rugby toss. Okay, if there's any rugby athletes or coaches in the room. So that's probably a good height. I'm going to go with, again, it's light, it's 10 kilos. I'll put a little extra on the eccentric. And what I want to do now is create a little stretch shortening, okay? I'm going to get square away from the machine and I start loading up. There's going to be a big rotation at the T-spine. I'm going to get a lot of stretch across the full body. So I'm here and I can load and pop, 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 okay? External obliques are working like crazy on the other side. Feet are square, so when a hockey player shoots, often they're in this position, bang, right? There's no friction on the skates and on the ice, so they have to really use that hip and that trunk as their base of support. So I really like that and sort of drive that elasticity through the midsection of the body. Next one, I'm going to keep this handle on. Drop this down, just again, maybe a little lower, bring that up. Okay, it doesn't have to be super heavy, 10 kilos, but we can go into a split stance and up, 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 okay? It doesn't take a lot to have to force their body to come down, absorb the force, shorten up that amortization phase, get a little bit of speed going, okay? So just different positions that are specific to your sport, or you could consider general across multi-sport, but I like that one. And then the last one I want to show you, these body wraps are really cool. I think they're pretty common now. So this particular exercise we'll use on game days as part of our morning activation. I know we got Vegas Golden Knights in the room. So in skating, again, there's going to be a rotational component to the stride, not excessive. Like guys don't skate like this, but as they load legs and drive off that outside foot in a frontal plane, there's some rotation, right? So what I like is this pulse. So we're here, 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 okay? So let the strap drive a little bit of rotation, let the body move against some of the resistance, but I'm getting a ton of work on that glute, okay? And again, working through some of those fascial planes, improving some of the elasticity, right? So that's my quick and dirty talk. I think what's cool about this is, I don't know how to explain it well, but I've spent a lot of time on quantums, but something about being close to this machine and just like a little bit more direct connection to it. It's ultra smooth. There's a few different things we can do with it, but it didn't replace my quantums. It's added more versatility. Obviously this pole is incredible. The engineering is incredible. Being able to rotate it up, down, all your verticals. So just a really versatile tool that there's some things there that we like to use. And like I said, just trying to get your brain going on some of the spectrum stuff. And I'm sure your creativity will come up with even better ideas than I had, but that's it. And I think just to wrap, if there's any like questions or anything, there wasn't really much Q&A, and if you had questions for the other speakers maybe as we wrapped up, but I know everyone's hungry. And
that's what the happy hour's for.
Yeah, and Hermosa Beach at 2 o'clock is gonna be pretty nice.